By far, one of the holdups that people have when they are looking to buy in Oakville is, do they buy a pre-construction home or do they buy a resale home? And often the people who are caught up on this dilemma think that resale is an inferior product and that pre-construction is superior. So here's where I'm going to make you think differently here. And if you're somebody who's looking to move to Oakville, you should be looking at resale, not pre-construction. And there are many reasons why. So I've been a real estate investor for 20 years, and primarily I bought pre-construction. I bought resale as well as pre-construction. So I have a long history of buying real estate, both pre-construction and resale, within Southern Ontario and Alberta as well too. So I have a lot of experience in this. And what I can tell you is that um, people, I think, get caught up on a few different things. Number one, I think culturally, there are, certain cultures that feel, you should be buying new, right? You shouldn't be buying something that's existing, right? That is definitely a thing that exists. Another component to everything is kind of like the apprehension or fear of not being able to fix something if something is quote unquote older. But more and more, this comes up when I speak to people who are looking to move into Oakville, and there's really no rational reasoning on their end why they're looking at pre-construction versus resale. So let's break it down. As a 20-year real estate investor myself, a 20-year real estate broker, helping people buy both pre-construction for investment and helping people buy resale to live in. This is my 2 cents as somebody who's been investing for 20 years in real estate, in pre-construction and for resale. So let's again preface this by saying that, you know, you're looking to move into Oakville. So if you're watching this video, you're potentially, looking to move into Oakville. You're a buyer, you're kind of like, figuring things out. So on the pre-con side, we're going to list kind of like pros and cons as well as resale. So on the pre-con side, people feel that the pro is it's new. Okay. And then what does that mean? With new, there's little to fix. So not much can go wrong with it, right? So that's kind of a belief that people have. Now, this is kind of where I kind of challenge people on this belief, because the counter to this is that although it is quote unquote new and there's little to fix, the quality of construction is poor. And I could write a book on this. The quality of construction with new construction in Ontario has become so inferior. I don't even know where to begin. And this is not a secret, right? Like, I'm not offending anybody by saying this. I have clients in the trades that tell me this. They will tell me literally what they're seeing as they're on a job site, working, and what they see, right? They share this information with me. So it's not a secret that the quality of new construction is poor versus resale. Now, when you look at resale that was built, you know, 20, 30, 40 years ago, let's go back in decades, the quality was very good, right? In comparison to what we see now, right? So the quality is good, right? And what does that mean? The quality, the bones of the home, right? How it's constructed, right? It's a solid home, right? It's not flimsy, right? You go into new construction homes now, and everything is just slapped together. Things are flimsy. Cheap materials are used. So these are all relevant points that tips the scale towards resale as being superior. So when we look at resale as well too, we also have to look at mature neighborhoods, right? So there's mature, well-established neighborhoods. What does that mean, right? So mature, well-established neighborhoods, good school districts, you can have long-standing neighbors, right? People that have lived there for, a long period of time, right? These are all um, points that create a positive living environment, right? So long-standing neighbors, right? So you would obviously have, not as long-standing neighborhoods if you're in a new home, right? With regards to pre-con, but again, these are some of the things that people don't see when they don't look at resale, right? So you've got solid quality of construction, you've got mature neighborhoods, well-established neighborhoods, you've got long-standing neighbors, which are positives on the resale side. Also, we haven't even touched on this yet, and we're 5 points in. You know, the pricing for pre-construction, it's no secret now. It's way too high, right? Whether it was pre-construction condos, I could write a book on that. But when you look at the pricing of pre-construction product, when we're looking at homes, and again, not to offend anyone, whether it's builders or whoever's watching this, I'm just saying it how it is. Look at the pricing. Look at the pricing of a pre-construction. Let's take townhome and in Oakville, and let's look at the pricing of a resale townhome, right? Pick your neighborhood, pick your area. I guarantee you that you will get a better deal on resale, and you will get a better product built more solid, no concerns about uh, cheap materials used to construct the home. It's a much better built home when you look at resale that was built, you know, 10, 15, 20, 25 years. Insert your number of years in there. And as you go back in time, the quality is much better. There's without a shadow of a doubt. So that is a big one, pricing, right? So when you look at people who are, again, maybe buying for the first time in Oakville, maybe they're the first time home buyer, they're on a budget, obviously, right? And when you look at, what you can buy, whether it's new construction versus resale, this is a factor that you should be looking at, right? What can you buy for that price? So don't rule out resale at all, right? And here's another plus for resale, better pricing. So what would be the downside, right? Over here, we've got four pluses for resale. We have two negatives for pre-construction. So one negative for resale, which people bring up, is, fix things, right? What if something happens where they have to fix things? And this kind of comes from, the home being older, right? This is home ownership, right? Like home ownership is such that you will have to fix things, right? Similar to pre-construction. If you buy a pre-construction and if you're in it for long enough, eventually your air conditioner may go. Eventually, it may be time to change your roof. Eventually, insert, that fix in there. Your furnace may break down. These are realities of home ownership, and the longer you own a home, the more potential expenses you can have. So there's always a risk of, and it's not even a risk, there's always a reality of maintenance items for a home. So how do you mitigate that on the resale side? Well, when you purchase, right, you always have a home inspection in your offer. This is very important because a qualified home inspector is able to inspect the property mechanically, structurally. They can take a look at it, and from an electrical point of view, to see if there's major deficiencies in the home. They can examine the roof. So you want to see, kind of going in, how is the house faring? Right? Is the house aging well? Has it aged well? Have items been upgraded already? So you can go into a resale home, with a home inspection, already having a good idea of what's coming down the pipeline, maybe with regards to maintenance items, and vice versa. when you do home inspection, you can see if a home is a lemon, right? If a home is very poorly constructed, if there are cracks in the foundation, if there's water damage from the roof coming in, so you can kind of stop yourself before you buy a resale home if there looks like there's going to be major items there that need to be fixed. So the point of this video is to highlight that when you are looking at moving into Oakville, buying into Oakville, do not only look at pre-construction, look at resale. And I would, from my experience, I would heavily favor resale over pre-construction when you're purchasing the home to live in, right? For investment, pre-construction condos, that's a whole different story. That's a whole different video series that I could talk about. But when it comes down to buying a home to live in Oakville, when you're looking at pre-con versus resale, focus on resale. That's where the better homes are constructed. That's where you're going to find mature, good neighborhoods, good school districts, and the homes are much more solid. You're not going to be disappointed with really crappy construction.